Hello to all of my Rochesterian friends. I hope everyone is having the best day possible. Today, we are doing something just a tad bit different. We are currently going live, which we haven't done before, so I'm super duper excited about it. If you're watching this live, just let me know. If you're watching this as a replay, let me know that too. Few things I want to talk about, and I really want to specify, right? The purpose of these lives will be generally to talk about what's happening in the news in Rochester and kind of what's been going on locally, just so we can address a lot of these topics. I think a lot of times we sort of misguide ourselves with what conversations looks like. So for the most part, wanted to share with you guys just what's going on here. I know I've also got my hair cut right, which is always pretty and fun. But with that being said, few things. So first and foremost is going to be this right here, right? What we're noticing is the Greater Rochester International Airport is undergoing a $38 million project. We've talked about this a few times, but it looks like it's finally coming to fruition. And what's cool about this, more than anything else, is it's going to happen in our lifetime in April. So in 2022, Governor Kathy Hochul announced a $230 million upstate New York economic development and revitalization competitive to revitalize 9 airports across upstate New York. Frederick Douglass just so happened to be one of them, right? So this $38 million project began in summer of 2024 with elevators, amenities, securities, the whole shebang. And 2 additional projects were being done in the Veterans area and the Legacy area as well. So here's kind of what everything looked like from a finalized perspective and what they were looking to aim and fix everything, right? Obviously get this more open. The sidewalk was closed. So they wanted to make sure that this was more than anything else understood, and people understood specifically why it was going to be closed. So the project is expected to finish in August of 2025. A lot of people are, what's the best way to put this? A lot of the people that we are, how do I stop this? There we go. A lot of the people that we're conversing with and we're having these conversations with, they're not expecting this to complete at that time. That's the problem, right? A lot of the conversations that we're having that surrounds these things is people are saying that, albeit they do want the project to complete, they simply don't think that it will. And it does make sense. I think it will be difficult to complete everything by April, albeit I'm very confident and I'm very excited to see this come to fruition more than anything else, right? We're going to see a lot of times, a lot of people actually make it so that the international airport is growing, the Micron project is happening. And for us, what this really means is we're going to see a shift. I'm super duper excited for it. So the second thing that I want to talk to you guys about is this right here. And this is the Macy's, right? So Macy's to close 66 stores, including the Grace Ridge Mall one. It's just how it is, unfortunately, with a lot of these companies filing for Chapter 7 and 11 bankruptcy. It just makes sense that they have to obviously calculate that and take the risks accordingly, right? So the Macy's in Eastview Mall and Victor, and there's another Macy's, which it's going to stay open, but for the most part, the one in Grace Ridge is going to be bye-bye, right? 2024, Macy's said that by 2026, it planned to shut down over 150 unproductive stores, about a third of its locations, while investing in 350 go-forward stores. What this means from a business perspective is very simply this, right? A lot of businesses and a lot of the business idea is sustained around one topic of an 80-20 rule. 20% of the profit, 80% of the profit will come from 20% of the locations, activities, all of those things. With that being said, Macy's, with it being shut down, it means that these 350 locations are making it more money. And as you can see here, that's exactly as it says. Overall sales for Macy's declined 2.4% to $4.7 billion during the third quarter, which ended in November 2nd. It just makes sense. This is a business, and people are going to have to obviously pay to play, right? Macy's entered in Rochester in 2006. While the Grace Ridge store, Eastview, Irondequoit, and the Henrietta Marketplace were rebranded as Macy's. The Irondequoit Macy's closed in 2014, and the Marketplace Mall store closed in 2017. And now this one will be closing very soon. A lot of things to talk about, right? When we think about stores and we think about growth from a locational perspective, there's a few things that we have to address. First and foremost, what we got to see is we're seeing a lot of these places and a lot of these locations, specifically in Rochester, beginning to dwindle out. We're seeing Paychecks, we're seeing Wegmans developing, we're seeing a lot of those locations, a lot of these housing opportunities being more prevalent and developed. However, what we're seeing is at the cost of retail success. Right, we're seeing JC Penney combined with Macy's. We're seeing a lot of these Foot Lockers go out of business. We're seeing DFW and all these other companies. They're kind of losing it as it is. Party City filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. So things like that we have to notice, and especially in locations like Rochester that aren't the biggest, that don't shout about everything that they're doing. They're not boastful. These locations are going to be the first locations to go. So with that being said, two other things that I wanted to show you guys. If you're watching this live, let me know where you're watching this from. If you're watching this from Rochester, if you're watching this from out of state, it'll be super cool to obviously hear about everything. But the final thing I wanted to talk before that is, right, so the weather. When we're thinking about what's happening in Rochester, there's a lot of these places that are having a lot of snow. Rochester ranks right in the middle third. It has been a banner. There's a lot of snowfalls. Binghamton actually had the most. Rochester and Buffalo both made the top 10 from those rankings, sitting in 7th and 8th for the most amount of snow. Right there. Denver was ranked 6th. Erie was ranked number 1. So with that being said, obviously make sure you guys are staying safe. Make sure you guys are, you've got the heater, you got all those things taken care of, because it is imperative that you are safe during these times. Yesterday, I had an Amazon package that came into my house at like 8 p.m., which is really kind of wild, like 8 p.m., seriously. And I literally just stepped outside to pick it up. I said, thank you. It was bad. Like the weather was not okay. Like the weather was pretty crazy. So with that being said, let's look at the final thing, which is going to be this right here. This analytics, and that's the analytics and the data for what's happening specifically here in Rochester from a real estate perspective, right? A few cool things that we got to consider. First and foremost, what we're seeing compared to last week is a decrease in sales price compared to last year. Or actually, no, comparing to, it's kind of weird, 1/6/2024. Yeah, it's 2025. It's crazy. This is 2025, man. What? God, that got me. It's up, right? So inflation's obviously hitting. A lot of these places are going through appreciation. Compared to last week, we had less sales, and compared to last year, we had less sales as well. And it makes sense. With the home prices being more and more on the higher end, it's going to make sense that a lot of these locations and a lot of these places are going to have less closed sales overall. Percent of list price received. And this doesn't really make that much of a difference, but I mean, compared to last year, we've received more of a list price, right? Days on market. This number really shouldn't shift that much, albeit because of the inflation, because of the higher home prices as it is, we're seeing a larger days on market, meaning if you're looking to buy a house, you're going to have the opportunity to actually buy a house, right? Compared to last week, which was 21, we've seen a much higher days on the market overall. So if you're thinking about buying a property, what this means for you is you have the chance to compete and negotiate. Systematically speaking, the sales price, albeit it is a little bit higher this time, you can negotiate down to this price right here simply due to the fact that you have less competition. Days on market, what this means for people looking to buy a property is because of the days on market and because of the time frame of that market, there's a lot of really cool opportunities to actually negotiate. From New York City, which area you recommend to invest in in Rochester? It's a pretty loaded question, honestly. It depends on what specifically you're looking for. For the most part, if you're looking for duplexes, triplexes, I'd recommend the 19th Ward, closer to the U of R. So there's a bridge that connects the University of Rochester and the 19th Ward. That location and to the west side of that is a fantastic investment opportunity. We're seeing just so much growth there. We're seeing multifamilies being bought by these massive corporations, and that's usually for student housing. Swilberg and also the South Wedge area are fantastic as well. Anything that you can get in close proximity to the U of R and also to Highland, maybe in between those two locations, will appreciate like nuts. With that being said, I hope that answered your question. Let's look at a few other pieces of data. Sold dollar volume. Now, this doesn't really make that much of a difference, but it's just how much actually sold last week, 100 million. This week, 97 million. Active inventory is important. Compared to last year, we actually have less active inventory. Now, albeit these numbers do change to they're interesting because active inventory means all the homes on the market. That also means homes that went live in September and in October and all these things, right? So all of this plays its part there. But what we are seeing compared to last year is we have less homes available. We also have a higher inflationary period, higher home price, while consequently also having a higher days on market. What this means from a real estate perspective, and maybe just from a business perspective as a whole, is it reminds me, and I'm not saying it's the case. I'm not saying it's the case. I'm just saying it kind of reminds me of stagflation, meaning high interest rates and high unemployment as well. So with that being said, final piece of numbers that I wanted to show you guys. Original list price has gotten up since last week, which is down since last year, which is kind of interesting. And then unsold listings. Yep, just as expected. Look at these numbers. Compared to last week, we have a 300% increase in unsold listings. That is crazy. Like, that is nuts, guys. So because of this, because of the fact that we have so much more unsold listings, you have the ability to negotiate. You have the ability to get something that doesn't exist, right? So it's super cool to consider the fact that albeit the home prices have gone up, if you're thinking about buying a property in Rochester, New York, you need to give us a call. You have to give us a call because this is a field day. This is the perfect opportunity. This is where it's at. If you're thinking about buying a home in Rochester, if you're thinking about investing in Rochester, look at this. You have a 300% increase in unsold listings compared to last week, a 25% increase compared to last year. If you look at days on market, you have a 60% increase compared to last week, a 30% increase compared to last year. If you're thinking about buying a home in Rochester, if you're thinking about investing in Rochester, ladies and gentlemen, now is the time. Now is the time. I'm not saying this to say anything, but people will see this and people will say, oh my gosh, I'm going to start looking. And that's going to drive up even more competition. The last thing that we want is to have more competition. We want to be in a period where interest rates are high enough that people are afraid to purchase, but low enough that it's not going to make a major difference. For example, we were buying a property for one of our clients, and the difference was $25,000. The numbers in terms of how much he's paying per month is about $100 to own a property that's going to appreciate like crazy, right? So it's a game. You have to understand what specifically is happening and what specifically exists and all those things. With that being said, guys, if there's no other questions, Kayo Para, thank you for hopping on. Really appreciate it. For everyone else that hopped on as well, really appreciate it. If there's no other questions, you guys have our numbers. You guys have our information. Would love to chat with you, help you on this home buying journey. Looking forward to seeing you soon.